Okay, here's my next bowl. I'm going to make this from more of the sea grape. You can see it's turned quite orange. Most of the bark is gone. Let me turn it over for a second. As you can see, it's quite thick over here and thin over here, so I'm going to have to tip this, and my intent is, since the lathe has that nice valley in it and I can tip it around, my intent is to raise this up closer to that height. I've got a hole right here as my center. I'm going to drill in at a slight angle to compensate for the fact that I'm still not tipped as much as I want it to be, because I don't want to take too much of this away. And the more I tip this down, the better. Okay, I've got the 5/16, I think, I don't remember, and the flat spot for my woodworm screw and the jaws of the chuck to land against. I've got this tipped quite a bit, so hopefully I'll get some decent wood out of here. I'll cut quite a bit off of this side in the back, but so my intent is this is the top, that's going to be the bottom, and I'm going to round a little bit of this off just to make it a little easier to turn on the lathe. Okay, I've put this latest piece of sea grape on the lathe. This is much closer that way than, say, this out here. So, and I do want to save some of this, but we'll see what happens. But I'm going to end up cutting off quite a bit of this to get this flat on the bottom, such that I can mount a woodworm, not a woodworm screw, a a tenon or a miter. So I got that. This is kind of soft in here, but it's only soft in the middle, not everywhere. So, and this is recessed away because I wanted to keep some of the features that are on this side. Now, obviously, there's all this torn area. A small percentage of that will be kept. We'll see what happens as I'm cutting this away. But my intent is going to be to cut off this whole corner here, and then round this up the rest of the way. So I might keep some of this, I might lose it, depending on what's going on. But that's where I am. Okay, I've taken this piece of sea grape and I've sawn off this edge to make it a little less machining, because when this stuff's coming down this way, it's going to be trying to peel, so I got to keep my tools really sharp and try to come in from an angle that is a little bit supported. But I did cut off a corner here and this with the chainsaw, which wasn't great fun because it just wanted to grab and peel. You can see I pulled a piece out of here, but in any case, it's as good as I think I'm going to get it. We'll see how it goes. It's going to end up being pretty thin front to back here. Okay, I'm getting ready to turn this around on this tenon or mortise here. When I'm done, I'll remove all this lumpy stuff, and this will be the foot out here. Right now I've got it. I guess I started with a wood with some big cracks in it, and you'll see them here. And you got to be extra careful with that stuff, because this was so flat fractured that large pieces were coming off intermittently, and when you're cutting, if those large pieces come off, they could poke you pretty good. So I had one fat one that hit me, didn't do any, it didn't hurt, didn't do anything, but it sure looked bad. But in any case, you can see I've got this chainsaw area. I've got where there was a broken branch that had rotted and then grown over and whatever else it did. And this wood, it tends to turn orange if you expose it to the environment. Think it's oxidation, not positive. I'm going to be letting this sit for like 6 or 8 days, and I'm going to have this side up, since I'm not going to have machined this other side yet. And the other side, I'm going to turn this around in a minute. Okay, I got this piece of sea grape that I'm going to sit for 8 days. My intent is this will be sitting this side up, because right now this is pretty much turned orange and red, and it's in pretty good shape. But I wanted to talk about this side first. So I'm going to end up with like a 1 inch to around an inch wall thickness. So this will remain, but this will probably get machined away. This knot over here will probably stay, and then I'll have this reddish rim around the perimeter, with some areas when I remove this bark are going to be light. Now this won't matter so much, but out here it'll change to red. So that's that side. And then this side, and let me turn it this way. This side, you got chainsaw area where I cut off a branch. There's some more chainsaw. No, that's it there. My intent is this will be the foot here, and you can see it comes around more than halfway, but not all the way. This stuff will go away, and I'll put my wooden nickel in approximately this space. Obviously this has to be below this. And additionally, I guess I wouldn't recommend, here, I'll turn this over. Okay, this split area is where a branch had been ripped off, and I've machined most of that away, but I'm still going to leave, obviously, this stuff in there. I don't think I'm going to put any CA and coffee grounds in here. I may, if it starts expanding and getting bigger gap, because this isn't dry yet. But I necessarily wouldn't recommend turning when there's big loose chunks, because they come off, especially if they're turned in the direction that wants to peel them away. And I peeled away a piece that was maybe 3 inches long and a ½ an inch in diameter that could have been sharp and made a mark on my finger that I wouldn't have liked, but in the end it didn't really do anything. But you got to be careful with that. I guess that's about it. Okay, I set this sea grape outside with this side facing up, the bottom facing up, for 5 or 6 days. Plus it's been almost a week since then, just sitting around inside, and it definitely got very orange to red. And let me turn the camera around. You can see that it's quite red. Some of this was already red before I turned it or machined it, but a lot of this was covered with bark. You can still see where I'm pulling bark off, and it's going to be light under there. And so I may have a whole variety of colors between white and red. Okay, I've got this sea grape that has a crack in it, and I have repaired part of it, but when I put this in the 4-jaw chuck and expand it outward, it's separating this more. So I'm going to add some more coffee grounds and super glue to rigidize this area so that I don't keep changing the geometry. Okay, here's my latest bowl, a sea grape that has the kind of interesting characteristic of turning red when it's exposed to the environment for some time after you've machined it. As you can see down in the bowl, it's kind of cream color where I finished it not long after I cut it, and the rest of it is red and orange, or there's places where I remove bark after I let it get exposed, so it turned a little bit creamy colored there also. I also ended up using some CA and coffee grounds to fix that crack that I had mentioned during the video. Overall, the thing turned out really nice. Let me turn it over just for the interest of seeing the bottom. And so you can see that I machined this surface here right at the very end also, so it's got the creamy, it's still orange, but not quite as much as the rest of it. But overall, the thing turned really nice red, and I guess what I'm going to try on another one is to just see if I can get the whole thing to be red, which means I'll need to expose it after I've pretty much finished the bowl, and this is not what I did here. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe for more similar wood turning videos. Please comment on the video and I should respond. I make a video about once a week.